Senator Boozman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's good to have you with us, Mr. Secretary, and I enjoyed getting to visit with you the other day at the prayer breakfast. That was a great event. A lot's been talked about the safety nets, and that's so important, for a variety of different reasons. I think our banks, with the regulation that they're under now and just the situation with the economy, if our producers don't have a strong safety net, I think there's real question as to whether or not they'll actually get a loan, to put the crops in. The other thing is the recognition that there really are real differences, and you know this better than anybody. I know I'm preaching to the choir, that there are real differences in production and input cost, and it's difficult to come up with a something, kind of a one-size-fits-all, and then we have the worries of making it WTO compliant. It's going to take the wisdom of Solomon to figure out. There is real concern by producers that one safety net is going to go down and then reinforce another safety net, which we don't want. And then the other problem is that if this isn't done right, you're going to incentivize certain crops too much, and then we'll have this unbalance. And as you said earlier, and the statistics that you gave are great, and we just need to hammer on that, our producers are doing a tremendous job with low prices and things. We're feeding the world. But if it's not done right, then food costs will rise, and our single moms or people on fixed incomes, those kind of folks really will suffer the most. So, again, I know it's a big job, and we're looking forward to working with you to try and figure that out.
Senator, you're obviously you come from a state that represents that diversity. A lot of different crops grown in the state of Arkansas, and the input costs for some are more and significant. The land needs are more and significant, and the risk is greater. It will be difficult, but not impossible. And I think eventually, working together, we can create a safety net that utilizes crop insurance appropriately, that has some kind of revenue protection mechanism that will provide assistance and help to folks when they need it the most, and that we will begin to understand that part of the safety net is the rural development, economic opportunity, and jobs for off-farm income, which for many producers and many families is very important. I think there's enormous opportunity here. I really appreciate the Chair's willingness to take this on and get it through the process quickly, because this uncertainty, we got a good thing going here. We obviously want to continue the momentum, and the sooner we get certainty as to what the rules are going to be, the better it's going to be for the market, better it's for producers, and better for us to plan for rural economic opportunity. So I certainly agree with you, and we look forward to working with you on trying to figure out precisely what that right balance is.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And again, I think the certainty, as you brought up, really is a key to the whole thing. The other thing, I'd like to echo the Senator from Minnesota about the BioPreferred Markets program. And as you know, our forest industry is really struggling right now. In fact, I'd like to put with your permission, Madam Chair, a statement in the record from a number of landowners, forest industry organizations that are expressing their concern with the program. It is difficult, if you have a product, bamboo or something like, I'm sorry. Thank you.
We'll put that in the record.
Bamboo, something else coming in from someplace else, and then the mature markets. One is USDA certified in a sense, or it appears that way, and the other is not. And there's real concern that will create a problem with consumers.
Senator, what we're attempting to do, first of all, is to do a better job of restoring forests, which will create, in our view, more opportunity for the timber industry that we recognize has been dealing with some tough times. We think getting to 3 billion board feet is a good step in the right direction, number one. Number two, as far as the BioPreferred program is concerned, we are looking for ways in which we can streamline our processes within USDA to identify more products that basically qualify, and I think you'll see a significant increase both on the federal procurement side and on the private sector labeling opportunities for consumers. We are going to focus on that this year. We think this is a way of underscoring the enormous potential that rural America has to produce virtually everything we need in an economy from what we grow in a renewable way. And by doing that, you create jobs and create new income opportunities for producers. And we're looking for, frankly, we're looking for creative opportunities here. And if I might say, one of the concerns that we have, which we've not talked about today, is whether or not we're going to have the next generation of producers to do all of this. We are very concerned about beginning farmers, as I know you are. And I would strongly urge this committee to think creatively, not just within the bounds of the Farm Bill, where you have fiscal constraints. I probably should have said this when Senator Baucus was here. But there's Finance Committee opportunities as well. As you well know, the way this works today, I own a farm. That farm is appreciated in value. I couldn't afford to sell it today to a young farmer. I'd have to wait. My kids would have to wait for me to die, and hopefully the estate tax is where it needs to be, so that I don't have to, so they can sell it with a stepped-up basis and they don't incur tax. We ought to really be thinking about our tax structure and ways in which we can encourage more incentives for folks to sell to beginning farmers and socially disadvantaged folks. That may not cost a lot of money, but it may be an extraordinarily helpful thing as we look at the aging nature of our farm population and the fact that we got to have young farmers.
Right. Well, thank you. Another area, I mean, I understand as well as anybody and are very supportive of us reining in spending. We have a situation with the USDA office closures, and I guess the only thing I would say in that regard is that you'd really look at those. You had a number of meetings, with local input, and those were very well attended in Arkansas. I think the comments were very constructive, in trying to give good guidance. So I would hope that you all will actually, look at those, the results of those meetings, the comments, and I know that you will. And then also really look at the 20-mile limit. I think that the intent was that was actually 20 miles versus the crow flies. Again, look at that, but I would say just, depending on the comments, use some common sense, in regard to that. Certainly 20 miles in Kansas is different than 20 miles in very rural Arkansas, where it's really hilly, where it might take, 45 minutes to an hour to get someplace, with a pretty, as you mentioned earlier, a pretty elderly farm population now that we're facing, as the ages go up. So if you could just, we had a great meeting. I want to compliment your staff. We had a great meeting with them. They were very, listened to us and made some good suggestions. So,
Senator, these are tough decisions, and candidly, if you were designing this system today, you probably would design it a little differently than it is. Despite the numbers of closings we've announced, we're still going to have several thousand offices open. And here's the problem. When your operating budget is reduced, as it was, and I'm not complaining about this, I'm just stating the fact that it was reduced. When you have an aging workforce, which we have at USDA, and we're seeing retirements accelerate, and in order to manage this, we encouraged some early separations so that it would be easier for us to do this without furloughs or layoffs. We saw 7,100 folks retire in the last 15 months from USDA. So you have less money and you got fewer workers, but at the same time we have actually more work. Commercial banks not doing as much on the farm side, so that created a lot of concern in terms of loans. Rural development doing record numbers of grants and loans, and I think with good results. So we had to do something, and the choice was either what we did, or a furlough or a layoff, which basically would impact thousands of offices and farmers across the country, or taking money away from the investments that we're making in new technology. We have such an antiquated technology system servicing our farmers today. We really want to get to a point where maybe that visit to the office is infrequent because they can do stuff at home. So these are hard questions, tough choices and tough calls, but that's basically what happens when budgets get reduced. And we try to do it in a thoughtful way. We try to do it as consistent with the direction of Congress. How many offices are the right number? You all said those offices that have 1 employee or 2 employees. We found in this process that there were 35 offices that had no employees. And so, you know, it's an ongoing process, and I want to assure you, and I know my time is up, I want to assure you that we're also looking internally in terms of how we do business with ourselves. And we have 379 recommendations for better, more efficient operations within USDA, how we do property management, procurement, security, human resources, budget and finance, et cetera. So we are really tasking our people with trying to figure out how to do better work, more work with fewer dollars and fewer people.